In Abergavenny, Monmouthshire, we're welcomed into the home of Dr. Helen Webberley, doubling as the office for what she calls her online transgender medical clinic. The Skype conversation is with Ethan, 30 years old, assigned female at birth. He's now being prescribed testosterone by Helen Webberley.
Hiya, yeah.
Hello, hi. Can you see me all right? How long have you been on the testosterone now?
I've been on testosterone for just about 8 months now.
Right. And what have you noticed? What changes have you noticed?
Big muscle gain. A lot of muscle gain.
So I suppose to start the video, do you want to just introduce, are you okay introducing yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, my name's Ethan Chambers, 34 years old. Started transitioning just over 4 years ago. Started transitioning privately as I couldn't find couldn't find any sources. My GP wasn't very helpful with it at the time. It was all completely new to me. I didn't even know it was possible to transition, as I come from my parents are a different generation. They'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of it. I grew up wishing I could be a boy, and just basically thinking I was a freak. So it's like growing up like that, and yeah, it's. Once I watched a documentary on Channel 4 3 years ago, what was it, Girls to Men?
Right.
That was the documentary that changed my life. I just watched it one night, everything clicked into place.
Across Britain, girls are becoming men. Transgender people once felt the need to hide in the shadows, but the next generation are bearing their all online.
I got my first appointment 2 months.
9 months, 18 months, 34 months.
Everything they were saying was what I've been experiencing over all the years of growing up, and never feeling like a girl, always wanting to play with the boys, done boys things. I was never into dolls. None of that. I was a right little rebel when I was a kid. I was a typical lad. But yeah, being forced by my mum and dad to grow up as a girl because that's what they thought they had. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible. You know, the thought of having to wear a dress. I'd have sleepless nights months before. It was really scary.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
It was a nightmare. So on top of that, going through depression from being bullied, physically bullied, mentally, all through my school life, and it's absolutely crazy.
And you're saying it was only 3 years ago then that first light bulb moment happened?
Yeah, for almost 4 now. I've lost track of time. We were saying that it's not an overnight thing. So
No.
You actually deal with it and forget that you're in a waiting list. That's the way I've dealt with it. I mean, I was lucky enough to manage to afford top surgery from family and friends, and I sold my motorbike to do that. Actually made a massive impact on me, the way I live, and yeah, just my confidence just absolutely soared as soon as I had learnt top surgery.
How long ago is it since you had top surgery then? Sorry to keep referencing time, just for my own information.
Break them down. This was it'd be 3 years this August.
3 years. So, and I'm assuming that you were already started HRT before then.
Oh yeah.
So, just if you don't mind, what were the sequence of events? So you saw the program.
Yeah.
Then you accept. Obviously, I'm not sure you knew where to start from what you said. So what was the sequence to top surgery? Just for
me, yeah, it took a lot of. Well, obviously, I went to my GP first. Beforehand, I'd done some research on the internet, gender clinics, found those, didn't even know they existed. So managed to get a referral from my GP. He done that. So I waited a few months, and me being impatient because I've just found this light at the end of the tunnel. I started looking online for private GPs, and after a few weeks, I stumbled across Dr. Webley's site, and I believe she only just started it up then. It was quite new.
Yeah.
Desperate, I sent her an email, and at the start, I thought it was all too good to be true. And she started getting back to me. All of a sudden, after a couple of consultations with therapists and that, she prescribed me the gel, the testo gel. And wow, this is was the start of my life when I got that.
Yeah. So basically, this is the testo gel.
Ethan shows me the testosterone gel he's been using every morning for the last 6 months. He went to Helen Webley, tired of having to wait for an appointment at an NHS clinic.
I was referred last, I think it was mid-September. I've heard nothing ever since, and I am literally still waiting for a first appointment.
Ethan describes the impact the testosterone's having. What changes are you noticing?
Muscle growth was the main mine, and mine at the start, the monthly cycle, mine stopped within the first month. My voice gradually dropped. I mean, I did have quite a high voice. I sounded like a child, basically. Hi, my name's Ethan. This is the 2nd of February 2016, and this is my voice first day on T. So, no, it has dropped dramatically over the past 8 months. And it is, even when I'm on the phone, I actually get addressed as Mr. I'm more outgoing, and I can actually go into places and actually be seen for who I really am.
So yeah, I was on that for the gel for a good year. Then I managed to convince my GP to take over after he had a few consultations with some specialists at the main hospital, Dorchester. And then he took over the injections and went on to testosterone.
Yeah.
And basically that's how I've been ever since. So my GP is very much on board now. I mean, he was he'd never really dealt with anyone. I'm like his first patient.
Yes.
And never dealt with any transgender people or anything like that. So it was all new to him. I think he actually admitted himself it's kind of exciting for him as well.
Yeah.
So quite a bit of a personal thing with me. He likes to see, seeing me change, and he's definitely on board with it now. So he's watching me change. After having top surgery, he's fully backing me up for my lower surgery, which is due soon. And that's basically how it went. But this is over time. This isn't over a week. This was over years. So it may sound easy, but it wasn't. It was very difficult.
At the risk of asking it's a big question, but if you could summarise, I'm just wondering what your journey to manhood's been like, if that makes... we can talk about the medical transition, we can talk about surgeries, but how have you found living in the world, being seen and perceived for who you are for the first time? What's that experience been?
That experience is absolutely amazing. I feel like a completely different person. I've got to the point now where the old me is gone. Even if someone mentions my old name, because I've still got friends that knew me from beforehand, and it seems very strange. It's got to that point. It's like, who are you talking to? Yeah, for me, it's been an absolute life changer. I'm a completely different person. My confidence is, brilliant. It's immense. I'm more outgoing, more confident. I don't know how the right words to explain it. Really. I'm so excited and everything, and happy. But yeah, it's a new me.
I'll tell you what I'm hearing is you're alive. I think just listening to you talk before, the way your voice was and everything, and then talk about that, it's like you're suddenly alive.
That's it. That's exactly how to describe it. I would think, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
And the other thing I am thinking, it was an instantaneous realization of the potential. So once you saw that program, you could see the potential of transition and what the results of that would be. But I'm thinking that it wasn't. There were things going on before that suddenly all made sense. In other words, people might think that this was sudden onset. And
no. Well, obviously, because I didn't know anything about it, I was literally growing up. I knew I was different. I knew there was something drastically wrong. For years, I just couldn't accept it. Just growing up thinking I was a freak, and I don't know how to, describe it really. It's just I always passed as a boy beforehand.
Right.
So that might, I don't know, I suppose a lot of my friends now even say that they don't see a lot different. Because I always dressed like a boy, I acted like a boy, I was mistaken for a boy all through growing up.
Yeah.
It was definitely meant to be. So it's. I'm just trying to think how to put it. I mean, like I said, it wasn't, and it definitely was not an overnight thing.
No.
That I found myself.
Yes.
When I saw that documentary, I beforehand I heard bits in the media about it, and I kind of brushed it off over the years. I thought, nah, that's a joke. That's exactly how I felt. I thought it was a joke, and then it's when I saw it into more detail, it did. It put everything into place. It changed, it made me slightly angry at that, because at that point I've gone through 27 years.
Yes.
And 28 years of trying to be someone I'm not. Being told I've got to be someone I'm not.
Yes.
My parents and that, and just going, when we were kids, used to go shopping, and mum used to like going out for, mother and daughter days and things like that. And I was in the shops, I was heading straight for the men's section every time. My mum's like, well, why don't you come and look at these? Why don't you wear these leggings? Really? you mental? That's what I felt like. Yeah, but it just never appealed to me, ever.
I think listening to that, what I'm hearing is that program, you discovered your identity, that it was all the pieces were there, the jigsaw was in front of you, and suddenly that final piece went in and you could see yourself for who you were.
Yeah. I found me.
Yeah.
Been hidden for all those years.
I talk about my journey as a series of epiphanies, that even, when I discovered my identity, that was one epiphany. But then, a bit like you saying, then looking for the help medically and finding Dr. Weberly, and then, the surgeries, everything's been, like you say, it's not overnight. It's a journey of discovery, isn't it?
It is. I think it's a journey that will never end. Because as days go by, I'm discovering new things about myself every day. Every day. I don't know whether you can see where I'm coming from. It's really strange. There's something new and exciting happens every day. So it'd be silly little things like pronouns, and I mean, I don't get misgendered at all anymore. So, but yeah, it's just little things, body changes. I mean, when my voice started dropping, I had a really high pitched voice.
Right.
And
hard to imagine, I have to say.
It was very squeaky. So you got this butch-looking woman, with more muscles than, because I was always butch anyway, muscly, and I got this girly, squeaky voice. Nothing was in proportion. Yeah, I love going to the gym. I love doing weights, but yeah, I actually trained like a boy, like a man.
Right.
I always lift more weights than any other girl, and so when I started the hormones, that everything sort of like I started to see results that I've always wanted to see.
Yeah.
Muscle growth, everything. I mean, I used to train for hours and hours on end and get nowhere. You know, in my head, I imagine more muscles on the arms, you know, and stomach and that, and it never materialised. I'm doing all this training. So when I started the hormones, within 3-4 weeks, my voice started dropping. I instantly stopped periods. They stopped straight away, which I was quite shocked. I haven't had one since in 3-4 years.
Wow.
I know a lot of people still have them for a while after. Mine just cut off as soon as I started that gel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I carried on training. Muscles started growing. I started seeing gains. I loved looking in the mirror as well. Again, seeing, I'm like, wow, check that out. You know, I'm getting what I've always wanted and what I always felt like I was.
Yeah.
What I mean, like every day I see something different.
How were your relationships? So because you mentioned your parents a couple of times, and you've spoken kind of, they obviously saw the girl and were railroading you towards that identity, which clearly was wrong for you. But how's your relationship with them now?
Well, it's just my father at the moment now. So my mum passed away just over a year ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Right. Yeah, but once I actually came out to my mum first, and she took it as a bit of a shock. But after a couple of days, she admitted that everything she sort of like she knew anyway.
Yeah.
She did, that was kind of annoying in a way. She knew all this time that there was something wrong, but she could, you know, she didn't pursue it.
No.
Which, if she did, when I was a kid, maybe my life would have been a lot easier. But you know, different generation of parents. You know, so my journey just started a bit later.
I think just listening to that, you said different generations. You know, the reality is you didn't have the education about who you were, so there was, you know, what chance did your parents potentially have?
Well, that's it, exactly. So
I was just going to say, I hear a lot of parents say, we always knew, we were just waiting for them to tell us. And it sounds like that was a similar situation for yourself.
I suppose it was. I was waiting to get the answer.
Yeah, and as a child, we're waiting for them to give us permission sometimes, I think, as well. I think you know, that's the dilemma within the family sometimes.
That's exactly right, yeah, what you say. I mean, just growing up, just the acceptance of mum letting me wear what I wanted to was a godsend. You know,
yes.
I pushed her to the point where she gave up. She'd be like, "Oh, wear what you want." I mean,
yes.
When I was 6 years old, I used to have long blonde curly hair. It took me a while. I forced my mum to take me and have it all cut off. 6 years old, and I had it cut like I've got now, and it's never been long ever since.
Right.
Yeah, I think I almost cried. My dad did, because it was so, you know, long blonde curls and that was their girl, and I had it like basically number 2 back and side, spiky on top, and I was a boy, and that was it.
So you were expressing masculinity all your life, from what you said. From the moment you had a conscious thought, you were masculine, but that, irrespective of gender, your expression was masculine.
Yeah.
Yeah. How has your journey then? You know, I can obviously, I see the smile, I see the energy, I feel the energy when you talk. I suppose I was going to say, how has your transition impacted your daily life for good and bad? I mean, has there been any negatives, or has it just impacted in a positive way?
98% of it is positive. Obviously, I lost only a handful of friends that didn't agree, but I'm so strong-willed now. I don't care. It's not affecting their life at the end of the day. So yeah, there's a lot of more elderly generation again where I am that knew me before, and they just can't. At the end of the day, they just don't understand.
No.
They present it as more criticism and being nasty, you know. But at the end of the day, it's just because they don't understand.
Yeah.
But I just brush those sort of comments off. They don't.
There's just a little part of me thinking, that how you're demonstrating what's right for you. Just listening to you talk today demonstrates that you know who you are. I mean, I've heard not a whiff of doubt or regret. You know who you are.
Yeah, definitely. 110%.
Yeah. How could anybody doubt that? That would be my, but, you know, like you say, they do.
No, I don't doubt it one bit. This is me. This is.
If you had, just to kind of, you know, bring it to some kind of conclusion, if you had one thing that you could tell, I'm going to say your 26, 27-year-old self,
Right.
you know, that point of discovery and exploring your options and how you could do it. What is there anything you would do differently, or is there anything that you like to advise that person in your position now?
No, I wouldn't have done anything differently, but I will suggest make sure when you're seeking private gender treatment, make sure you do your research and get the right people, because there's a lot of, don't go out buying hormones just randomly off the internet and hoping they'll work, because you're going to need that proper aftercare and you need those levels checked all the time. So you got to do it safe.
Yes.
I mean, with me, Dr. Webley is the only one I've ever known, but I trusted her 110%, and she got me where I am today. So she would be highly recommended by me.
Brilliant. What I was just going to say, just to finish off then, what you're saying is that actually one of the reasons you have found your life and got on is because you found the right people. You didn't cut back to leapfrog the system, that you've done it in the right order, found the right people, had the right care.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I thought about it beforehand, before I found Dr. Webley. That's exactly where I was looking. I was looking at buying hormones overseas. I was looking at research how to administer them, things like that. Yeah. And pure luck, I stumbled across her website on Google, and and then after talking, I managed to get more and more information. So I went down the right path of doing it, in the safe path.
Brilliant. Like I say, it's been fantastic talking to you this morning.
Yeah.
I'm sure we could talk for the next 2 hours. But keep in touch, Ethan. And,